Every time I go to film a video and I wear a hoodie, these are always different lengths. Every time. Most of us are stuck at home because of the beer plague. How's your creativity? Like mine, it's just getting flushed away down the toilet every day. It's actually not that bad. It was a lot worse. I find now it's starting to get better. After in a little bit of a routine, the ideas are starting to roll back in a little bit now, which is good. Which is kind of how I came up with the idea for today's video. I wanted to shoot some close-up macro B-roll video tests with the 90mm macro on the A7 III. And I quickly realized shooting B-roll with a macro lens is nothing like shooting B-roll with any other lens. Once I started doing it, I quickly realized that's probably the most impossible thing you've ever done, because the depth of field, the actual part that's in focus when you're using a macro lens, because you're so close up, is so tiny that you try moving the camera around and shooting your B-roll your regular way, it just doesn't work. It's really, really hard. Really hard, actually. If you can do it, props to you. So I came up with a different idea of mounting the camera directly above so it's fixed, and shooting down, obviously, and moving the product around in my hands instead for a slightly different way of shooting B-roll. It was a complete test, but I actually think it came out pretty good. You tell me. Now, I think you'll agree with me, that's actually not that bad at all. I expected it to be 10 times worse, and you can actually use some of those shots. When I was shooting the video, there was a couple of things that I quickly learned, and I thought I was gonna share those with you right now. And you might actually be interested in trying this yourself, because I'm gonna hold a contest for it, and there's gonna be a giveaway, and I'll feature a bunch of the videos and that kind of thing. So stay tuned for that. I'd say the biggest thing that was a challenge for this was lighting. Now, I did use my big regular light that I've got right here, but the key to this was a little tiny light as well. And in this case, I used the, where the hell is the on switch? There it is. I used my Aperture ALM-X. And this thing was really handy. So basically what I was doing, the camera was facing straight down, and then I had a light to the side here, and then the product directly below, and I was moving the light around to give different lighting effects, moving this around, but always making sure that this light was directly on the product, in kind of that little gap between where the product was. Can we balance it here? Where the product was, and like in that space there. So that was a key thing. The big light acted more like a fill in this one. The little light that you're going to use, whatever you want. You could even probably, if you want to, if you don't have another light, you could use the LED on your phone. If you get close enough, that is going to give you some light, and some light's going to be better than no light at all. Now, I did actually use autofocus with this lens. I trust the A7 III and this lens, and the autofocus worked near flawlessly. With the macro lens, you do have 3 different settings for distance in which you're focusing. I just put it on the closest one, which is 0.28 to 0.5 meters. You can use the full one, but it's going to be slower. So for real close-up stuff, just use the closest setting that you have on your macro lens. Now, manual focus will work as well if you want to, but you're gonna have to be a lot more precise. You're gonna have to put your, who else likes the clutch on the macro lens? I love that, my favorite feature. So if you want to use manual focus, you have to pre-focus, and then you're gonna have to be a lot more precise with your movements, moving things around, because there's gonna be a very narrow area that's actually in focus, and if you move it too far up or down, left or right, it might not actually be in focus. When it comes to actually shooting the product itself, normally you're moving the camera around the product, and you're limited by the movements. You have to move the product, then move the camera or whatever. You kind of have a 360 space to move the product around. If the camera is held above or up to the side, you can just move it around directly in front. So there isn't really a tip as such as to how to do it. I just let the camera roll and play it around with different movements. Coming out of focus, going back into focus, moving in, using the light to get some effects on there, just literally moving it around. So just set the camera rolling, play around with different effects, and if the product has something interactive, like you see I pushed the button and then did a close-up of the top of the cards there, if it has an interactive element to it, film some of that as well, and then you can cut that up, and that just adds to the B-roll too. Here's some Insta360 video that I actually shot right next to me holding the product, so you can see me in action, just moving the products around and not dancing, but you know what I mean. Another tip for you as well, you are using your hands and you don't really want your hands in the shot unless it's that kind of specific shot that you want to do. You'll notice in the stuff that I had, you couldn't really see my hands at all, yet they were holding all the products. And the way to get around that is you're just going to get very, very close. Like even super close like that, you can see my thumb quite clearly there, but the camera won't pick that up. So get really close to the product if you can. Another tip for you is to shoot in 120 frames per second because you can then slow it right down if you want to. Things are going to look a lot smoother. If you're using your hands and you're going at 24 frames a second, you might find that it starts to look a little bit shaky and that doesn't look that great. By slowing it down, it smooths out some of that shakiness a little bit. I know it doesn't, but you know what I mean. That's like B-roll 101. If you're in PAL, obviously you can shoot 100 opposed to 120. Some slow motion is gonna be better than none. So that is the basic tips: lighting, how to hold the product, make sure it's close up so you're not getting your hand in the shot, and then shooting 120 frames per second. Obviously adding some audio is gonna help boost up your video, edit to the beat kind of thing. That's gonna make it look better too. Now you have the tips, so let's talk a little bit about the contest that I'm gonna do. The whole theme is close-up macro B-roll. Now if you don't have a macro lens, don't worry, just get as close as you can with whatever lens you have. Most lenses have a pretty decent minimum focus distance. Even with Sony, if you're in a full frame a7 III, just punch in a little bit with clear image zoom or go into crop mode there, and that gets you a little bit further, a little bit more zoomed in for your macro stuff. Even if you don't have a camera, just use your iPhone. The important thing is to get as close as you can, just to get close-up shots for B-roll. Just get your creative juices flowing. That does not sound very nice at all, does it? Let's go with 20 to 30 second clips, no longer. I don't want to watch like a 5-minute B-roll clip, please. And upload it to Instagram or YouTube and DM me a link on Instagram. Just there, send it to me directly there. And make sure you use royalty-free music, please. EPIDEMIC Sound, ARTLIST, wherever you want. Just make sure it's royalty-free. I want to feature some of these, and if you go and use the Beebs, I'm not featuring it. So I will make a video featuring all of my favorite ones and the winner as well. We'll do a YouTube live or do a whole YouTube video. I haven't decided yet, but the winner will get one of the very nice featured wallets that I was using in the B-roll there. So this is actually from a brand called Extra, and they reached out to me and said, hey, can we send you a wallet? Wouldn't normally say yes to a wallet, but I've used this style of wallets for a couple of years now. This is the ones where your cards just pop up like that. They're a lot thinner. I much prefer using these. So this wallet by Extra, genuine leather, quite like that. Green leather, little spot that you can put extra cards in there if you want to. Spot for your cash. And with this one, it has this little thing in here, which is, you probably know what those beeps mean. It means it's a tracker. So that just slots nicely in the gap there. You can see how thin it is still. And if you lose your wallet, you can jump on your phone and find out where you lost it. And that tracker is solar powered. So a 3-hour charge gets you 2 to 3 months of use. So realistically, you charge it for 3 hours, 3 times a year, and you'll never lose your wallet ever again. If you are interested in one of these, I'll pop a link down below. But as I said, we are giving one of these away. Thank you to Extra. They will let you pick whichever one you want, and you can get yourself one of those if you win. I'm also gonna throw in a $25 Amazon gift card so you can go and buy a bunch of toilet paper, because that's what our world's come to right now. 4 weeks is how long you got to shoot your video, edit your video, send it to me. It needs to be a link, not a story, a specific link that you've uploaded to Instagram, or you can put it on YouTube too. That works as well. In fact, that's probably better because then I can download it and feature them all instead of just scrolling through on my phone. But we'll figure that out. So I'll do a YouTube video or YouTube live 4 weeks from today, whatever day this video is posted, we'll announce the winner. So that is it really. Thank you for watching today. Go out and shoot some B-roll. Can be anything, products, grass, your dog's eye, whatever you want. Just make it interesting, get those juices flowing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later. Somebody asked me the other day, do all Canadians carry a knife? Now, I think this has been popularized, is that a word? By him. I don't always carry a knife. I'm not even Canadian. I just live in Canada. I know carrying a knife in England is very much frowned upon, but the reason I have a lot of knives is because I get a lot of boxes. So I have a lot of knives laying around to open a lot of boxes. Knife over there, upstairs, downstairs, although I have to be a lot more careful now. Knives and kids don't go well together, and I've got 2 kids. Actually, toilet paper and kids doesn't go well together either. Pretty much anything. Dog bowls filled with water, Anything you got lying around the house doesn't go well with kids. Try having 2 kids under 18 months in a lockdown. I'm tired.